Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you guys to my review of the Roccat, Roccat, and those are the three ways that I can pronounce this brand. If one of those three ways are correct, please tell me. If none of those three ways are correct, please tell me. Excellent. Now, before starting off with the review, I have to mention to you guys that box. This box is huge. Man, I can't believe how big this box is. Wow. Now, on to our styling and features that we have in the front of the board. Now, what you guys will notice is that it's very wide. Very wide. So it will take up a lot of space in your desk. So you must prepare yourself to have a wide enough space for this particular keyboard. Now, it has its own separate banks of macro keys, which is very fantastic. And there are also keys on the bottom of the space bar here, which will focus now. And these three particular keys here act as your profile switch by default, which means you can macro them to be any functions you want, but by default, 1 is profile up, 3 is profile down, and 2, with a little indicator here, opens up the driver. Now, of course, you guys might have noticed already, it's a very gamer-focused type of board, and the design especially reflects on that. You got your nice, big Roccat. I'm just gonna go with Roccat, because that sounds pretty cool. So I'm gonna go with that from now on for the rest of the review. And we have our little symbol here, little Roccat symbol, very nice. Now then, of course, the wrist rest has to be hard plastic. To the reasons that I still don't understand why, but keyboarding companies keep making hard plastic wrist rests, which is a terrible idea. Don't do that, guys. And the media controls are bound to the F keys and can be accessed via the function key here, which isn't really anything new. And it's the same scenario for the macro recording key at F12. And what is quite interesting is that F4, if you guys notice, that is a calculator key. So you can have instant calculator access. That's very nice and neat, right? Sadly, however, for the price point, which I will basically tell you guys towards the end of the review, for the price point, you don't get backlighting, which is a little bit disappointing. But I do notice that this particular board has a Pro model. There's going to be a little Pro here somewhere. And that particular board will have backlighting. This one does not, which is alright. And they kind of tease you too by making the back plate blue, which is telling you that, hey, you did not buy the Pro version, so you still get the back plate, but you don't get the lighting to back it up. Now, one thing that I did notice is that even though in the box it says resistance to dust, that's not true, because this has been attracting dust pretty easily. It's very attractive to dust. Hopefully you guys can see it. If not, then oh well. And I kind of spoil you guys to the back of the keyboard too when talking about the cable, is that cable will be right next when I flip this board around. Onto the cable. You guys can see here, it's thin rubber cable. Again, don't really like that. And to top it off, you get silver USB tip too. Alright, it's kind of a double whammy there. But however, they did make it up. They sort of make it up with cable management Velcro, which is nice. Which very, very nice to know that they back it up with cable management Velcros. Now, with the back of the board, you come with 5 rubber pieces here on the middle, right, and up. And these rubber pieces, guess what? Actually holds the board together. Unlike the previous one, this one is very stable. It's very, very stable. With the same amount of force that I use, even more so, I will end up moving the table instead of the board. It's that awesome. And I will vouch the same thing when the stands are up, because as you guys notice, the stands have rubber padding on them, which is awesome. Now, what is also another neat feature about this board is cable management slots. I know there are 7 of them, but these 2 are really hard to can figure out, so I don't count them in. But these 5 on the top here should do more than enough of being an adequate cable management slots and features. Now then, we are on to the software. Alright, people, time for the software of our Roccat Ryos MK. Not Pro. Not Pro though, just the MK. And on our main controls we have configure caps lock key. This particular feature here can allow you to adjust your caps lock key to either be caps lock or have some kind of Roccat talk function. Now with that particular talk function, so let's say if you were to have a mice along with your keyboard, they can communicate with each other. Oh, look at that. They can talk to each other, and you can do something similar to, let's say if I want my mouse left click to be Q on the keyboard. Well, that's all possible here with this particular software. And now we're on to the configurations of our function key. We can make our function key be the actual function key on the right or the Windows key on the left. Either or. You can have it your way. Now we can enable or disable any keys such as the window keys itself, a tab key, some kind of alt tab combinations to make sure you put your keyboard into gaming mode and make sure you can game without any distractions. Of course, we don't want distractions now. We want absolute focus when we game, obviously. And we are bound to 5 different profiles. Count them, folks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up next, we got our character repeat feature with a delay time, a repeat rate, and some sort of sound feedback whenever you switch your profiles via T1, 2, and 3. It will play a sound to each particular profile that you selected. Let's say you select profile 1 to 2. A 2 is going to have a slightly unique sound, and that sound is customizable, which makes it awesome. Now on to our key assignments. Our macro keys is a pretty simple interface with primary and secondary functions. You have 4 different zones with your bank of macros, your standard keyboard layout, your F keys, and your T keys. You can't customize your escape key. Nope. You cannot customize escape. But any other key you can do so, which is very, very nice. Now, Roccat has a special little game type within the game kind of scenario going on here with Roccat Rad. You can have 16 different trophies to unlock, and right here is when they keep a counter of your gaming keys, and if you were to get to a certain amount or you were to have the Roccat talk being utilized, you may just unlock yourself a trophy. Congratulations. You got a trophy from that. And of course, last but not least, there's always going to be future updates. So whenever updates come around, it's when they come around and you're going to get newer, cooler features from Roccat. And this is our software of the Roccat Ryos MK Not Pro 4D typing experience. This utilized Cherry MX Blacks. And what I notice about Cherry MX Blacks is that they are stiffer reds. They're very stiff reds. You need to have a lot of force in order for the keys to register. Which, if I kind of think about it, it's a good move from rubber dome membrane to black switches, because rubber dome membrane users tend to bottom out their keyboards a lot, which means they will tend to use a lot more force. And since blacks require a lot of force, it looks like they do fly together. And speaking of flying together, I don't fly as quickly as I do with the other switches, but that's not this switch MO. This particular switch is being made so that you don't double tap by accident. Because of how stiff the keys are, it makes sure that you do not double tap, which is onto the gaming side of things. Now on to the gaming side, like I mentioned before, it's basically the opposite of reds. For reds, their MO is to make sure that you can double tap as quickly as possible. Now for blacks, they make sure that you don't double tap when you don't want to. That's why it's stiff. To make sure each keystroke is exactly how you intended them to be. And the keys are actually very comfortable for long durations, for those of you that play FPS. Now, for those of you that play MMO, this bank of mackerel right here is basically your best friend, because it allows you to access a lot more than what you can with a regular board. Plus, on top of that, let's not forget these 3 profile switchers to help you out. Now then, on to the final verdict. For the final verdict, I have to say I don't see a lot of gaming level black switch keyboards. The other ones that I can think of is the SteelSeries 6G V1 V2, the Mionix Zybo, and maybe, just maybe, the Corsair K90 might have black switch on them. Now, there are other black switch keyboards out there, such as the Ducky and WASD boards, those highly customizable boards. That I know that they have black switch out there, but for just gaming level or gaming grade keyboards with black switch, I honestly think this one is quite rare, because there's not a lot of them out there. And if this is the particular board that you're looking for, and it retails for $99.99, which is not cheap, so it has its bads, but it also has its good. But the strong selling point here is that this particular configuration, if you will, with the type of switch that you want, there's not a lot of options out there, and this is one of them. So I'm going to say, come and get it.